really closely with Gunya, and they are such a big support for the kids, not only in like cultural learning, but cultural safety as well. Like getting to progress with kids that may not know too much about culture and making them feel secure in that space and valued in that space is so important. And then we also have partnerships with like Griffith University, and just extending those pathways for our kids and letting them see what options they have for the life that they want to live is so important. To not only be safe culturally, but also look to the next step and see what's ahead of them and what they can achieve.
But outside of that school environment, I'm yabba. Tia, mum is only fae. And it allows them kids to somewhat get a bit of that cultural environment around them, especially the ones that, say that they didn't grow up around it. So when they get to see it through the eyes of other kids that do have it in their communities and in their families, they get to come to these spaces and feel involved, and we try to make them feel involved, we encourage that, and then when they leave, they're all of a sudden more empowered, more they feel more cultural appropriate when they're hanging around other black fellas and that. And then when we start our programs again, they're coming in with the biggest smiles on their faces, the biggest Bill and yo, instead of uncle or Mr. So.
And they had told me that Gunya Meta had impacted them because of the programs, because of the camps. They felt seen and heard. One of the Jarjums was able to explain to me that before being a part of the program, he was very shy and kind of in the shell, and he went on the first camp with Gunya Meta, and after that camp it changed everything. He felt like he could be himself. He felt like he didn't have to hide who he was, and that he could feel proud to be Indigenous and openly Indigenous.
One of the things we learned in the Strongest Smarter was keeping it simple, and how we can attack the things that we can actually do. So I think that getting them talking and allowing that safe space for them is one of those things that I look back and I didn't have at high school. And looking at living in the same community, the different times as well, they might have changed. There's a lot more activeness with the young ones in today, going out and being active, and a lot more distractions as well. So identifying, like, yes, I once was a teenager, but identifying what they don't have, what we had. We had that strong support group in community. We had them role models. So I think going back to the basic is what we're trying to achieve just with our program, but also that's one of my personal values, is having that support group network that you can talk to outside of work, outside of school.
And as a community organisation, when we see the impacts of what our program does and how it impacts them, and then how they step up, how they show that leadership and that pride. We had one young judge and he's disengaged from school. We've just started a program in their school, and he was the first one to put his hand up and say, I want to do acknowledgement in front of the assembly. So that strength and that pride, just to be, that we've instilled in that in just such a short time, is just,